Good evening, everyone. We're going to call to order the Monday, July 8th council meeting. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and have a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Sabosley, would you take roll call, please?
Mr. Dern.
Here.
Mr. Majernik.
Here.
Mr. Purcell.
Here.
Mr. Schlock. Here. Dave Seitz is absent. Mr. Taylor.
Here.
Vicki Rossler is absent. Mayor Schlegel.
Here.
And we do have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Mayor, you have a piece of business to take care of?
Yes, I do. Emily, if you come up, please. And you speak very softly, so if you would hit the button. Repeat after me, please. Raise your right hand.
Tell everybody what you're doing.
Emily is going to be sworn in as our tax collector, as a new property tax collector for Plum.
She's also going to have arrest powers. I'm just kidding.
I know you are. I repeat your name.
I, Emily Duluth,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will obey and defend the Constitution
that I will obey and defend the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
the Constitution of this
and
Commonwealth,
the Code of the Borough of Plum,
and the Code of the Borough of Plum,
and that I will discharge
and that I will discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for the bill today. That's it, sir.
Okay.
No
I-
whereases.
Thank God. I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report for the month of June 2024.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Schlock. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Purcell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, I need a motion to approve the expenses for the month of June 2024. I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Majernik and a second from Mr. Taylor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the June 10th, 2024 council meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Taylor.
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Schlock. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Recognition of achievements in the community. Mr. Mayor, you don't have any tonight? Anybody else have anything?
I would just like to say congratulations to our new tax collector.
Yeah. Congratulations and welcome. Okay, civic announcements. Mr. Carroll?
Do I have to hit the button?
You see the red light?
The red light's not on.
It's not on. I can speak
Hold
loud.
on the green button.
Huh?
Hold down that green button. And the red light should come on.
If anyone has, I'll turn yours off and see that.
That's okay. Can you hear me?
Try again, Chuck.
I can talk pretty loud.
But they can't hear you on TV.
Oh, they can't.
So hit the button again.
She'll replace it.
No red light.
Is it even turned on?
Give it 1 second. Great button.
Okay.
No red light.
Jess, is it on?
It just has to boot up.
It just has to boot up.
Is it getting in dark?
We'll give you an extra 10 seconds.
Give me 10 seconds more.
There you go.
It's scanning,
There it is. It's scanning.
and it found it. It's connecting.
There you go, you're on.
Am I on?
There you go.
Okay, now I'm on. Chuck Carroll, I'm the lieutenant of the Renton Volunteer Fire Company, and we have Anita Mydek, who is our president of our fire department. We're here today to announce that we're having an open house at our fire station on August 3rd, which is a Saturday, from 12 to 4 p.m. We're doing that because obviously we need members, we need volunteers. And there's a lot of different positions that people can volunteer for. Not only firemen or firewomen, right, firefighters, but there's workforce. There are people that can help us with our fish fries, our fundraising activities. It has come to a time where, well, I've been here 20 years, and 20 years ago, we had a lot of members, and today we don't. And I think that's a problem with all fire companies, not only in Plum, but all across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So this open house will have a lot of activities. We'll be able to do a tour of our facility right next door, show the fire trucks, talk to people that are interested in joining in many various different positions that we have. We'll also have food and some beverages for them as well. We encourage council and to show and to help, to show support. And in your communities where you live, your fire departments need your service, whether that's by donation or whether it's by offering help. We could use it. So just year to date, we have responded to about 135 fire calls, and that's a lot. And our average time on arrival, as the call come in to when we get there, is only 5 minutes. So we respond pretty quickly. And so hopefully this opportunity to have the open house will do us very well. And we're looking forward to entertaining the folks of the community and showing them what we can do and what they can do for their community. So thank you.
What was that date again?
August 3rd, 12 to 4.
It is a family event. We will have some kids' games. We'll have fire prevention materials and things like that. And really, truly, there's a lot of things you can do for the fire department. Business sense to help us, someone come in with business sense and maybe, help us with some arranging of, how we handle things. New ideas are always welcome. I'm a fire police. I'm also an emergency responder. Because I live a little far away, I don't get out too often, but I do have the certifications. There are other things for people to do. Our younger people, if they want to get into the medical field, they can start with the EMT program. We pay for the training, so they get the free training, that background that they can build on. We've had members who've went on to Kansas City, to Pittsburgh, to different places and get good jobs. And we're proud of them. We're proud to be the foundation. So there's a lot out there, male, female, young, old. There's something for someone to do.
We have a junior program as well.
Yes.
So we'll take, I think 14 years old. They can go through all their certification process. By the time they're 18, they're ready to go.
Anita, real quick question.
Yes.
The difference between a fireman and a fire police, is there the same amount of training that's necessary?
No, fire police actually is a weekend training that you can take. And it's basically the traffic control, and you are sworn in by the mayor. I've been sworn in by 2 of them. And I've been through the class 3 times, but and I've been on a lot of calls with my younger times when I was living a little bit closer. They direct the traffic, they help with the crowd control, they do things like that.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, and they're not going into burning buildings, but they are essential. And you don't have to work just for your fire department, you're actually under Plum Boro.
Good.
Okay.
So Chuck, I think that Chief Cole reached out to us, asking if we could help promote your event.
Yes.
And I think we said we're gonna put it out on our Savvy Citizen Alert as well as our Facebook page. We're gonna wait another week or so we can be a little bit closer to your event. But we are happy to work with you to help promote that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Do we need to turn it off?
You leave it on. Okay, any more civic announcements? Okay, that comes to our favorite part of the agenda, our audit report from Meyer Dussel.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. Hi, I'm Betsy Kreischer from Ardissel. I am the audit engagement partner for the Plum Boro audit. We did meet with the Finance Committee at the end of June to go over all the materials in the packet at your seat that I'm going to hit the highlights of, and went over it in more detail than I'm going to tonight, and the Finance Committee approved it to be issued final. You have the final versions here with you tonight at your seat. So what's in your packet, there's a communication of those charged with governance letter that's required communication about the audit process and the results of the audit. There's the primary government audited financial statements in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, or GAAP. There's a management letter about the borough's internal control and related matters that came to our attention as a result of the audit. You'll notice in the management letter for the borough that there are no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies that arose during the audit. And we just had one other matter for consideration, which was repeated from last year, talking about giving some consideration to having an information technology committee to help council and management with information technology issues. There's also a set of real estate tax collector financial statements in your packet on the cash basis, and then a management letter for the real estate tax office. You'll notice, consistent with last year's, there's a significant deficiency noted there for the real estate tax office, which is simply just acknowledgement of the structural nature of the real estate tax office, that by its nature is a very small operation, very limited people work there, so therefore all the financial transactions can't be segregated amongst a large staff, and anytime you have a small staff that really touches all the transactions, the borough needs to make sure that it has its own checks and balances over the real estate tax office. So it's really just an indication, of a reminder to you all that condition is always going to exist, and have your own control procedures as the borough, which you do have. And again, otherwise it would be cited in the borough's management letter. The borough's DCD financial statements required by the state and the requisite advertisement of that financial statements, those set of financial statements were issued in April. So this is really talking about just your GAAP financial statements that you have there in your packet. Just a couple of highlights for you about the audit process. We did conduct the audits in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the U.S. Your significant accounting policies are described in Note 2 to the financial statements. Although there were some new government accounting standards, board accounting standards that took effect for your year ended December 31st, 23. For your activity at the borough, those new standards didn't impact your financial statements. You didn't change any of your existing financial statement, any of your existing accounting policies, and didn't adopt any other new ones. Your most sensitive accounting estimates in your financial statements are the actuarial assumptions used to come up with your pension liability and your other post-employment benefit liabilities. Your most sensitive disclosures were Note 5, your guarantee of the debt of Plum Boro Municipal Authority, Note 8 about your pension obligations, and Note 10 about your other post-employment benefit obligations. We didn't have any significant difficulties in dealing with the audit. We got excellent cooperation from everyone involved in the audit of the borough, full access to any document, full response to any inquiry. No material audit adjustments to bring to your attention as members of council. That is what you would want to have happen, meaning that the books and records presented to us for audit were in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles when we got them. No disagreements with management. Management didn't have to go out and consult with other independent accountants because they didn't like what we had to say. No issues were discussed with us prior to our retention as auditors or during the course of the audit where anyone said to us, hey, you have to agree to sweep this under the rug. You have to agree with our position on this, that, the other thing. No conversations of that type. We did get representation in writing from management before we issued both the DCD report and before we issued the reports that you have in front of you, where management told us that they agreed with the financial statements to which we attached our opinion. In terms of what else is in your statements, there is some required supplementary information. That's management's discussion and analysis that appears before the financial statements. And then after the financial statements in the footnotes, you have the general fund budget to actual statement, and you have 10-year trend tables for both your pension liabilities and your other post-employment benefit liabilities. We don't give an opinion on those pieces of information. You have supplementary information that falls behind the footnotes, the combining balance sheet, and the combining income statement for the other governmental funds. In terms of very quick highlights about what you'll see in your statements, your government-wide financial statements on page 1, your largest assets at December 31st, 23 were your cash and cash equivalents of $8 million, and your capital assets, that's your land, your building improvements, your infrastructure, the roads and bridges across the borough of $39 million. Your biggest liabilities are your bonds and loans of $40 million, and your other post-employment and pension liabilities of $13 million. Your net position then was a deficit of $2.6 million, which increased $1 million from the prior year. Your general fund balance, your general fund's your main operating fund of the borough. Your fund balance was $4.7 million at December 31st, 23, or 30% of your total expenditures for December 31st, 23. That fund balance was down $731,000, but that's after consideration of $810,000 that you transferred from the general fund to the capital improvement fund. Your revenue and expense for the year about broke even at $15.7 million for both revenue and expense. And pretty much your actual performance for the general fund was consistent with what you budgeted. So that really brings me to the end of the comments that I wanted to make this evening. I'd be happy to take any questions if there are any.
Quick question. Taxpayers are probably going to want to know this, comparatively speaking. You do this obviously for a lot of other communities. How are we looking?
I think that you are in fine financial shape. I think the fact that your fund balance is 30% of your budget for general fund for a year is a really healthy marker, and the fact that your net deficit in terms of when you add up all of your assets and all of your liabilities, that you're pretty close to even for a borough of your size. So yeah, I don't see any negative indicators that I would pass along.
Thank you.
Okay, appreciate your time and attention.
Thank you for your time. Okay, that moves us to citizens' comments. No one signed up, but it doesn't hesitate if someone wants to come up and talk, they can. Last chance. Okay, we're going to move to council actions. First up, Mr. Majernik on planning and economic development.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to, on behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to adopt Resolution 992-24, approving the preliminary final Parkside Estates Phase 3 Major Subdivision, FS-01-24, as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second from Mr. Taylor. Is there any discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Ms. Rossler is not here. So on behalf of Personnel and Management, I believe, Mr. Majernik, you also do that?
Yes.
Motions?
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to appoint Colton Duke at the borough's, as the borough's building code official.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to appoint Sam Prokopik as the borough's zoning officer.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor from Mr. Taylor. And do I have any discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to appoint Mercy Newell and Adam Smith as junior council persons for the 2024 and 25 school year.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? I'll second. I have a second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Mercy is in the audience. Would you like to come up and say anything?
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name's Mercy Newell. I'm going to be a senior this year. I'm looking to go into something with law or government, so I was really excited to see this position, and thank you for appointing me.
welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Now, my understanding is she's gonna be sitting up here.
Yeah, we're moving you down here. She's gonna take her seat.
You're gonna sit between the two of us.
Okay.
Ignore that side.
Okay, Ms. Majernik, continue, please.
On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to appoint Mike Manfredi to a 3-year term as an alternate on the Zoning Hearing Board. The term for this appointment will end on 12/31/26.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Schlock. Any questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, there is nothing under public safety this evening, so that moves us to Mr. Taylor with Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Parks and Recreation Committee, I move to approve a special use permit requested by Lilelo's Pizza for a fundraiser on Fields 5 and 6 at Plum Creek Park on August 24th, 2024, contingent upon the borough receiving an insurance certificate by July 31st.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Taylor. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second from Mr. Purcell. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, we move on to Finance with Mr. Schlock, please.
Thanks, Mr. President. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to adopt ordinance 982-24, updating the borough's fee schedule.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second from Mr. Taylor. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to approve the grant agreement between the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the Borough of Plum for the U.S. Open Bridge project at Oakmont.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Schlock. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Majernik. Any questions or discussion?
Just a quick question. I've had people asking me about that. I mean, I'm in favor, but what people want to know what exactly the project is.
So that's a very good question. So even though it says the U.S. Open Bridge project, it has nothing to do with the bridge. Originally, it did. The scope of it changed. So the country club is making improvements to their driving range. There's grading improvements. There are additional buildings they're building on the campus. So we've been working with them and their consultant at least for the past year. Our next meeting with them, I think, is the next to last Monday of the month, where the state's consultant for the Rack Peak grant is going to come in. So basically, this agreement has 17 sub-conditions, and we've had the solicitor look at the agreement, and we want to focus on making sure those conditions are done correctly. And the key thing is the state won't let the country club draw down any funding until those conditions are met. So they're going to get those met as soon as they can, I'm sure.
Any other questions? Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. That brings us to Mr. Purcell, on behalf of the Roads, Equipment, and Grounds.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. On behalf of the Roads, Equipment, and Grounds Committee, I move to adopt Resolution 993-24, approving the sale of surplus borough property.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Mr. Schlock. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, now we move on to the mayor's report. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. In June, we had our police department responded to 956 calls for service, and that's a slight decrease over the previous month. Now we come to my favorite part, and that is the ATS radar display sign. It was deployed on Leechburg Road southbound from June 3rd through the 18th. A total of 35,946 vehicles passed that sign over that 14-day period. It's a 35-mile-an-hour zone. I would like to say something besides idiot for these people, but they did, the fastest was 92 miles. 92 miles per on Leechburg Road, ridiculous. It was, the ATS, the sign was also at the 500 block of Regency Drive, and 2,662 vehicles passed that over 18 days. The highest recorded speed on that road was 35 mile per hour, and that's a 25 mile an hour zone. So people were fairly conscious in that respect. And on June 20th through the 28th, it's an 8-day period, a total of 6,960 cars on Pearson Run. And the highest speed on that was 62 miles per hour. And that road can't really handle that type of speeds. On special projects, on June 18th, our police department joined with Plum EMS and Unity Fire Department at the Plum Library. They had a summer reading theme and exploration and adventure seminar, if I call it that. And our Plum officers interacted with the kids and display of the emergency equipment from all the emergency responders. And then thoughtful citizens. On June 11th, my lovely wife had me deliver several dozen homemade cupcakes to the police. And I had one of the officers who was going off duty meet me in the parking lot so he could at least get one before the other ones devoured them all in the building. And the chief sat there and said, he was suspicious of the timing because he was out of the office in Pinehurst. It wasn't nothing to be suspicious. You don't invite me, I don't tell you when I'm bringing them down. On June 13th, Nell Marie Korf called to inform the chief of what a thoughtful and caring person we have working for our police department. She was involved in a motor vehicle crash which left her stranded, and Officer Tim Troy was polite and respectful, and not only that, he offered and did drive her and her personal belongings to her residence. And on July 1st, Pat and Stan Kazmarski, again, they've done this several times, delivered several dozen donuts, several dozen of Independence Day cupcakes for the officers. And again, these are people that have done this month after month. So thank you. And that's really all I have at this point, sir.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Okay, moving to committee reports. We don't have a report for the Intergovernmental Cooperative Committee due to summer. Mr. Slock with the Finance Committee, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. President. The borough recognized revenues totaling $956,736 and incurred expenditures in the amount of $1,090,881. Revenues through June are approximately $140,000 higher than 2023. To date, the borough has received $2.45 million in the current year earned income tax revenues, and this represents 56% of the adopted budget. Through the month of June, the borough has expended 45% of the budget, or $7.17 million. It is anticipated that the borough may have enough excess cash reserves that will eliminate any need to draw down from the 2024 tax anticipation note. That will be a potential budget interest savings of $7,500. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Slock. Mr. Majernik, on behalf of the Personnel Committee, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. The job opening for in-house engineer was posted on April 23rd, and the borough has not received any applications at this time. The borough has recently listed the opening in the American Society of Civil Engineers magazine publication. Human Resources continues to attempt to fill the role of backup school crossing guard. In the event that somebody calls off, a police officer is taken off the road to handle the crossing guard duties. Staff interviewed a suitable candidate, but he withdrew his application a few days after the interview. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Purcell, roads, equipment, and grounds.
Thank you, Mr. President. Roads, equipment, and grounds. The 2024 paving project contractor, Dairy Construction, is anticipating work to begin near the end of July. Pipe was installed on Black Hills Road and Nassau Drive. The joint water line project with Plum Boro Municipal Authority under Mike Thomas Way has been completed by the subcontractor. The line has passed the pressure test and will be flushed and operational soon. Debris was jetted and vacuumed from multiple roads, along with patching of potholes and curb repairs. And preventative maintenance was performed on 15 pieces of public works equipment and vehicles, 4 police vehicles, and 2 administration vehicles. That is all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Purcell. Mr. Schlock, on behalf of the Public Safety Committee.
Yeah, in place of Brian Maloney, head of EMS, I'm going to read his report tonight. So, for the month of June, total responses 244, total patients transported 151, responses to other communities for mutual aid 12. 7 of these responses resulted in transport to the hospital. Total mutual aid received into Plum 13. Out of all the requests for EMS in the borough, Plum EMS handled 94.7% of these incidents. Other Plum EMS news, along with running emergency calls, Plum EMS conducted 3 sessions of CPR AED training for 35 people. They provided 3 car seat safety checks and distributed 1 free car seat to a family in need. And provided EMS coverage during the 2024 Plum Summerfest. Crews also handed out free glow-in-the-dark necklaces to children and some adults Saturday night before the fireworks display. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Brings us back to Mr. McJernick, Planning and Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. President. Planning and Economic Development. The Community Development Department issued 134 permits in June. The Planning Commission met in May to discuss 3 submissions. The Olympus Energy Midas compressor building was recommended to accept the application. The agricultural security area was recommended for approval with conditions, and Parkside Estates Phase 3 was recommended for approval. The zoning hearing board did not meet in June. Staff and the developer of Patriot Estates PRD Phase 1 are to hold a pre-construction meeting within the next month. Code enforcement completed 67 residential and apartment occupancy inspections and addressed 54 violations in June. Additionally, a code enforcement officer attended magisterial court for junk and debris. The borough is waiting on the Turtle Creek COG to award the bid to the contractor for demolition of a vacant home on Salzburg Road and Pearson Run Road. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Taylor, Parks and Rec.
Thank you, Mr. President. The annual Summerfest event was held on June 20th through the 22nd. The annual Summerfest event was held on June 20th through the 22nd. Public Works personnel took care of grass cutting and routine maintenance ahead of time, along with setting up tents, tables, and chairs, and temporary stage. Staff was also on hand during the event to monitor garbage and recycling and provide support when needed. Trimming and grass maintenance was ongoing at the borough facilities during the month. A new AED and weather protective case were installed at the Renton Park. Summerfest 2024 was June 20th through 22nd, and C&L shows returned with carnival rides, food, and games, along with several borough community groups who volunteered to run games. Even with the extremely high temperatures, we had approximately 2,100 guests attend the 3-day event. Summerfest will be held June 19th through the 21st in the year of 2025. The summer movie series kicked off June 8th with Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie. Preschool activities include a slideshow of our furry friends submitted by the community. There were approximately 75 guests in attendance. Monday Market continues through July and August with approximately 25 vendors registered each week. The Pop It and Drop It pull tab collection program for Ronald McDonald's House continues, as well as the Crazy Crayons Recycling Initiative. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. And that brings us to citizens' comments on non-agenda items. Anyone wishing to speak, come forward.
Thank you. On behalf of the Renton Volunteer Fire Company, we'd also like to thank those who attended our 75th anniversary. It was a great night, had a great time, and we hope to be here another 75 years, so thank you.
Anyone else?
I have one comment regards to an incident that I was witness to on July 2nd at Leechburg and Shear. An individual at the stop sign obviously had a medical emergency. He went into some type of seizure. Vehicle started drifting backwards down the hill, eventually flipped over. The reason why I'm mentioning this, the response, which we've heard numerous times from our Plum PD, Plum EMS, and our fire departments is unbelievable. Their professionalism, Plum EMS, I wasn't aware. I mean, I know they're good, but when they come out with cribbing to keep this vehicle steady while the individual is still seizing inside. I mean, we were working. I wanted to make sure I mentioned it. I believe the fire companies that were there were Logan Ferry and Unity, as well as Penn Hills North Bessemer. But what an absolutely fantastic job they did. They were able to bring this individual out through the windshield. And when he stood up, he said, "What happened?" So hats off to our public servants. Thank you.
Yep, anyone else? Okay, I need a motion for adjournment.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Mr. Majernik and a second by Mr. Taylor. All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Grace? Grace.